Hello and welcome back. Primal Season 3, Episode 6. What a ride. Looks like we're halfway, just a little over halfway through with this series. We're going to talk about that and maybe what to expect in the next few episodes. Come on.
Welcome back to Azar. My name is Nick. I got Kyle here with me, Pecos with us here on Instagram, and today we're going to try to find out what the story arc and path is going to be for Primal. So we're going to predict some things and probably be wrong. Let's jump into it.
Yes, so as Nick said, now I want to note that this is not so much a prediction video as like we're hypothesizing a lot. I really I think there have been key things that have given us hints as to what to expect, and I'm going to go over those, right? There are two main factors, and that is what we've seen in the remaining 4 episode titles in the series for this season, and then story arc structure can tell us a lot about what to expect. Not anything specific, but some broader strokes, right? So I just want to say, end of episode 6 was awesome, and it seemed like a liminal moment, because while they seem to have gotten the villagers out of harm's way with the den mother and her brood with the demon hogs, Meera got injured. She's
again,
and also the stakes are higher because she's pregnant, right?
Yeah.
So also we saw that Spear is still shunned by Fang, right? Pushed him away and stuff. So here I was like, this is really interesting. We have a setup for the next phase of the story arc, right? So I just felt that the show was transitioning from one beat in the season's arc to the next, and I began to think on the trajectory of what remained of season 3 story. So out of curiosity, I did take a look at the titles for the 4 remaining episodes in season 3, and those are episode 7, Heart of the Undead. That also had a description on it as well for the episode, but I'm not going to mention that.
Spoiler warning.
Yes. Episode 8, The River of Life. Episode 9, The Hollow Crown. And episode 10, An Echo of Eternity. Note that this is very similar to season 2 finale's title, Echoes of Eternity. So it's slight variation, so very interesting. So they give us hints as to what we might expect in this last portion of the season, right? Now, in terms of story arc structure and the pacing, it can tell us a lot about what to expect, right? So I want to go over what those story beats are in context of Primal. So you have 4 main beats. And yes, for all of you writers and story arc, people that have that knowledge, right? I am skipping over a couple in-between steps, and I'll talk about that a little bit later. But I'm using this in more a general seasonal structure for like a cartoon series, right? First up is what's called the exposition, or the setup, right? So this is where it establishes the main goal or conflict of the season, right? We can see that with Spear's reanimation and its circumstances, right? That's something that's a very core thing here. The rising action is the next beat, right? Which is, they basically consist of episodes that build tension, introduce new obstacles, and develop characters. I believe this is the kidnapping of Meera's tribesmen by the demon hogs, and their rescue, right? And then we have the climax, which is the point of greatest tension, often a major battle or revelation of some kind, right? So this is still yet to come. The premise of this is set up by episode 6's end, I feel, with the merry band rescuing the villagers, but Meera is wounded, and Spear is pointedly shunned by Fang, right? So I in giving like a general like hypothesis of what could be the substance of those episodes, I'd say it could be about saving Meera and her unborn child. A new enemy or danger will present itself. And another thing that I think is going to be pivotal is Spear's internal struggle grappling with his undead state. So and I think there's a hint to this that we've seen in previous episodes, because we've seen that he has associative memory, which I think is very important. That's a higher brain function. And it hints that he may still have a sense of self. So he will have the capacity to grapple with understanding like, oh, I'm not like I was, right? There's something different about me. So this could definitely be a character versus self conflict. I'm getting ahead of myself. That's more conflict or narrative conflict structure. We'll go into that later. And then the final beat is called the resolution. So this is the wrapping up of the season-long conflict, while often leaving a hook for the next season if they plan to have a next season, right? So maybe Spear and Meera's child is born. Maybe Spear is laid to rest or resurrected, depending on which camp you're in, right? And this is also the part where we get to see, are we going to complete the story, or are we going to have a hook for another season? I was reading up on stuff, and Genndy Tartakovsky is apparently they're undetermined if they're going to have a season 4, but that's not a no. So anyway, now I would also go as far to say that within these main story beats, right? And sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself. One thing that we should note is I did leave out a couple beats for all of you story buffs out there. I left out falling action, which is the counterpoint of the rising action, and I also left out inciting incident. So I felt that, like, look, when you look online and you look at like an example of story structure, they vary a bit. They're either very granular or they're very broad. I chose to go with more broad sense just because, this is a cartoon series. It's an adult cartoon series, but also like I feel it leaves a little bit of room open for interpretation, right? So now, that being said, I believe there are many arcs in each of the main beats of the primary arc, right? So we could say the setup for within the exposition of Spear being reanimated, he has a exposition, a rising action, a climax, and a resolution within those first 3 episodes where he's just kind of aimlessly wandering as a zombie, or so it seems, right? So we know that Spear's reanimated. That's the exposition, right? By the shaman. He follows Fang's roar through beasts and monsters, the rising action, and then the fight with the flesh eaters. That's the climax, right? That's where he kind of dons on the Fang necklace in his sort of dress thing, and then finally the resolution is his reunion with Fang and the gang, right? That happens right at the beginning of episode 4. Right. Same thing with the rising action part. Those 3 episodes, right? So episodes 4 through 6, when we are with the merry band again. So the villagers are kidnapped by the demon hogs. That is the exposition. That's what happens, right? The merry band tracks the demon hogs. Rising action. That's where they, fight the baboons and stuff like that. And then you have the fight with the Den Mother herself and the brood. That's the climax. And then you have the resolution. The villagers are saved, but we also kind of have a tie-in to the next sort of mini arc in the climax where Meera is injured, right? So we have this setup. We have this like input and output of this transitional point. So throughout the arc of the season, we get these undulations from the mini arcs that follow its trend, right? So you almost get a rhythm, right? This up and down, right, of what's going on. And that's a pretty good example of some classic story arc structure there. So I just thought that was interesting. I think that it gives us some hints as what to expect just from the titles themselves of the next episodes and the story arc structure. So the most exciting action is yet to come, I would say.
Yeah, because we left off basically Spear is going to fight Fang.
That's what
right?
It seems like. Yeah.
Unless something breaks through the ground and it's the colossal again. Oh no, attack! And then it's interesting. What was the one with the river of life or something like that? What was
Yes.
the one?
The River of Life. That's episode 8.
So it's either to save the child
Mhm.
or to save him.
Yeah.
And if there's only one dip in action, it's probably gonna be the child's, right?
Yeah, like some sort of River Styx
Yeah.
thing going on. Yeah. I'm also thinking that we might have another BBEG, a big bad evil guy or gal, right?
Ooh, like the demon god.
Could be. So my hypothesis about the horned one, I'll call him, is that he has no personal designs on Spear himself. He's not going to go out and like kill Spear for whatever reason. He's kind of a function of the universe, right? He is the one that gives people the agency to bestow, so they can exact vengeance, very much like he did with the Viking chieftain, right? The horned one doesn't have a personal stake in this, but he knows the Viking chieftain does, and he uses that to his advantage and like, yes, go forth and exact my,
I see.
your will,
Because of what Fang and Spear did to the people.
Yes, to his tribe. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, I don't know. Should we go into the conflict stuff or should we save that?
Let's make that a different episode. But I had just one question for you from this episode.
Yeah.
Did the design of the boar, the mother boar, remind you of anything?
Yes, it did. So you and I talked about this a little bit before, and I couldn't exactly recollect, but I knew, I was like, but I feel like I've seen that before.
Yeah.
And then you said Princess Mononoke, and I'm like, that's it.
Doesn't it have the vibes of the blind boar?
Yes.
From Princess Mononoke? And then even the other boars are like the same red and black color.
Yeah. Yeah. So one thing that's interesting, I put it in my notes, but I didn't want to get too in the weeds. I'm pretty sure they're a mix of 2 extinct species, very common for Primal. They have a lot of prehistoric animals here. So I've seen 2 different camps. One thinks they're Andrewsarchus, which was the largest terrestrial mammalian predator that ever existed, or an Entelodont, another sort of predator scavenger, right? And so they're kind of a mix of those 2, kind of like a fanged hog, so to speak.
Oh,
right?
okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty cool character designs. I was just a little creeped out by the way they would drink the milk.
Yeah, with the freaking yes. Yeah, that was quite a shot.
I wasn't ready for the hand movement.
I bet that's how pigs suckle or piglets.
Especially back then when they got the fangs.
For any of those in the audience who are farmers and have livestock, please chime in with that. I'd love to know if that's how.
And on that note, thank you for tuning in for this episode. We're going to be doing more episodes until the end of Primal. We like doing theories here. Follow Kyle on Instagram, Pex with the 0. And comment down below any other comments or ideas you have for movies. Not movies, for us to cover. We'll see you on the next Azar.
Bye-bye.
Quick, roll it. Cut.